Hey, what's up, Wacken? My name is Mike LePond. Most of you know me as the bass player for Symphony X. Some of you know me as the bass player for Ross the Boss. And I've actually played Wacken with both those bands. I think Symphony X was 2016 and Ross was 2017. Absolutely incredible experience. Now, I've never done a bass clinic before, but I could not say no to Wacken. I was going to say Doc. But I'm excited. Also, I am promoting my new solo album, Mike LePond's Silent Assassins. And it just came out maybe about a month ago. So if you like American power metal with some folky stuff mixed in, please check it out. So, all right, let's rock and roll. Oh, we're a little out of tune. Now we're good. Was a little out of tune. I don't know. Did anybody hear that? No, probably not. What's going on? So I thought for this bass clinic, what we would do, let's not make it too geeky for only bass players. Let's make it for whether, even if you don't play an instrument, we'll have fun. You know, we'll talk about bands. We'll talk about how I got, you know, from just local musician to playing Wacken. So let's start from the beginning. Let's go back. Let's go back to 1979, right? My father, God rest his soul, takes me to see Kiss at Madison Square Garden, 1979. This is like the heart of rock and roll at that time. And think about how your mind was when you were that age. So I'm watching Kiss. And I'm like, wow, I'm looking around, I'm seeing bombs going off, I'm seeing all these crazy things going on. And then I see Gene Simmons, right? Gene Simmons is like spitting fire. He's breathing fire. He's spitting blood. And he's like flying all over the place, you know? And he's just like going, you know. Into like that, the cool stuff what they do. And I'm like looking at this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, you know, and then he's like, all right, so I'm like, I'm watching, and I'm like, wow, that's what I want to do. I want to be a rock star like Gene Simmons. So, my father bought me a bass, real cheap bass, and I did two things. The first thing I did was take lessons for 1 year from a jazz teacher, and he was teaching me how to read, and I was learning some proper technique. But, you know, the more I did it, I realized that, you know, I'm not a jazz guy. You know, I'm a rock and roller. And I wanted to play rock and roll. I wanted to play heavy metal. So what I did was I just kind of taught myself. My first goal was to learn every Kiss song that was out at the time. Every single Kiss song that was out at the time. So, and I didn't realize it back then, but learning Gene Simmons' bass lines from the 1970s was a great training ground if you wanted to be a bass player, because he would he was bluesy, and he would outline the chord. You know, like for example, let's say, what's a song? How about Strutter? So the stuff was not too difficult. It was easy enough to learn. I learned a lot. And what I wanted to say is about this, for you young bass players out there, you may think blues is like old man music or something like that, but I'm telling you, heavy metal came from not only classical music, but it came from the blues. So you should really learn the blues because it's all feel. You can't fake it. You just got to be able to jam. So I learned this stuff. I began to listen to other bass players from the 1970s who were doing like the walking bass style, you know, and unfortunately that kind of style is not as popular as it used to be. I wish it was, because I think that was some of the best bass playing I ever heard. I would much rather hear a beautiful walk than like a real fast, you know, super fast technique, even though that's cool too. So then after I kind of got over Kiss, you know, I started to talk to friends and they were telling me about these bands, you know. So then I heard this band, you know, with this bass player, and the bass player goes like, you know, what that is. How about you in the back with the Black Sabbath t-shirt? That's Black Sabbath. So I hear Geezer Butler, who is doing somewhat what Gene was doing, but he was a little more heavier, he was darker, and he was more heavy metal. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. So I start learning all kinds of Sabbath, you know. I mean, listen to the Heaven and Hell album, listen to the Mob Rules album. That really influenced me. If you listen to the bass on Children of the Sea, it's just like incredible, right? That stuff was just so great. It was bluesy, heavy metal at the same time. Absolutely incredible. And I went back and I tried to learn all the old stuff, you know what I mean? And he was a master walker of the bass, you know. I got that all from Geezer. So from Geezer, you know, so now I'm listening to Gene, I'm listening to Geezer, and then my friend asked me to come over his house one day, and he's like, hey man, you got to check out this bass player. I'm like, nah man, I love Gene, I love Geezer Butler. No, they said, you got to check out this guy. So we put on the record player. Yeah, back in the dinosaur age, they had record players, and I hear something like this. You know, I'm listening to more stuff, you know. Ah, that's what's out of tune. Ah, that's it. Now it should sound much better. And I was like, I never heard anybody play like that in my life. And he had this sound, I guess between Steve Harris and Martin Birch, they created this sound that was one of the best bass sounds I ever heard in my life. So I started to listen to Iron Maiden. And man, so now, as you can see, my style is starting to expand. I've got the bluesy walking bass players from the 70s. And now now I've got Steve Harris, who's not really a walking bass player. He's just total heavy metal. So then I get asked to come over to my friend's house, and he goes, "Here, you got to check out this other bass player." I'm like, "Come on, man. I mean, Steve Harris is so awesome. All these guys are so awesome. I don't need anybody else." But then I hear somebody going like this. From Rush. And that was my first taste of what they call progressive rock. Geddy Lee was just unbelievable. He was so melodic. He could play heavy, he could play light, but everything he did had so much character to it. And, you know, his technique was amazing, his sound was amazing. So I'm just absorbing all these people. I'm just absorbing all these people left and right. So I do that. I joined my very first band when I was 16 years old. And I think the band was called Visions at the time. 16 years old. And that was, again, I didn't know it back then, but that was the best training ground you could ever have. What we did was we just played covers. So now I was learning songs from all the bands that were out around 1984, 82, 84. I get lost. We were learning all that stuff, and I was learning all the bass lines of these guys. You know, Ozzy, you know. And how'd that thing go? Yeah. So I'm learning Ozzy, I'm learning Sabbath, and I'm just absorbing everything. I'm also learning stuff that's like very straight ahead, you know, just like Judas Priest, AC/DC, straight ahead. That's very, very important. For you young bass players out there, I know, like, when you grab the bass, there's a lot of bands out there that are technically incredible, you know. And I play with some guys that are incredible players. But always start by learning the easy stuff first. Learn your walking bass lines. Learn the simple stuff. And then once you get that together, then try some harder stuff. I know it's fun to play the harder stuff, but just take it slow, because you don't want to be the guy that could play the fastest lick in the world, you know. You don't want to be the guy that shows up to a party, you know. And, you know, that's all impressive, but then they say, "Hey man, you know, we just want to do a little blues jam." And then you're like, "Well, I don't even know how to do that." You gotta learn the blues first. You must. I don't care. You know? Just learn simple blues. It's either walk up or walk down. It's really simple.